And in this video, we're going to be talking about whether you should buy or rent. So let's begin.
All right.
So Mr. Buy side, what are some of the reasons people should buy?
Well, the main reason, if you think about it, is when it comes to where your money is going every time you're spending money, whether on your apartment or condo. So on the apartment side, you're pretty much spending your money on the property management. It's money it's a cost that goes away, never to return. The number one reason people buy is that they use that money to build equity. So the monthly payments they're doing on the property they purchased, it actually goes into equity instead of being lost and never to return.
That's a fair point. But I counter that by saying that when you buy a home, your mortgage, usually the first couple of payments, but first couple of years of payments, you're paying more towards the interest side of the payment versus paying down the principal of the loan. And in essence, if you are buying a property for a short period of time, you're still kind of throwing money away paying interest. So in essence, if you end up moving, in year 3 or 4 of owning your property, you have essentially done the same thing as renting because you've only made payments on interest primarily.
You've built your credit score.
You have done that, but that's kind of that's a point. Like the point that you made is a true point, but I feel like that's more of a long-term thing and not a short-term thing when you're buying a home.
Correct. Going back to the first point, there's really a part two to that point.
Okay.
And it's related to the value of your equity because people you need to look at a purchase as more of an investment and a long-term investment because you will see that equity grow not only as you put more money towards it, but actually the value of it. Many people purchase properties to hedge their risk against inflation. And over time, I'm sure you've heard your parents, your grandparents tell you to buy versus rent earlier because what they did 20, 30 years ago, the properties they purchased, I can bet you right now they're worth a lot more than what they paid for at that point.
Okay, fair enough. Either way you put it though, you are basically locked into a certain property for a long period of time. I mean, it takes a long time to complete a real estate transaction, and what if the market's not doing well? You're pretty much stuck with it. So I think that's another downside.
There's options to that.
Okay.
So the good part about buying something in Chicago, especially near the downtown area where there's businesses, where there's demand for living because a lot of people are moving for work-related reasons to downtown to the city, the volatility isn't as negatively impacted as houses in the suburbs.
You mean like if there's a recession?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So that investment that I'm saying is that it's less volatile, especially in the city, I would argue. So going back to your point on holding on to a property and wanting to sell it and having it for more than you would like, there's options. I mean, you could treat it as an investment because you could convert that into a rental property and rent it out to tenants, and then have those mortgage payments covered by your tenants.
Fair. That's a fair point, but I just thought of a little problem in that scenario.
What would that be?
So there's two problems actually. The first one is, managing a renter is, it's hard work. I mean, if something breaks, you're the one that has to call the plumber or, call the repair guy. And then the second thing is you have to look at your condo building HOA policies and guidelines, because there are certain policies in certain buildings that only allow for like 10% is allowed to be rented, or 20%, or whatever that amount is. So it limits the ability for people to rent out their condo if there are many other condos being rented in that building, and it exceeds that percentage that's allowed in the HOA policy and guidelines. So you just have to be aware of all those things in that kind of a scenario.
Correct, which emphasizes the importance of working with the appropriate people involved in the condo purchase transaction.
Like a real estate broker.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
So a good real estate broker will understand the building, will the implications as how it relates to your ambitions or goals, and guide you through that process from the selection through the negotiation through the closing of the condo.
Okay, fair enough. I have another downside to buying.
Man, you're full of them.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Negative Nancy here. So, a real estate purchase transaction does require a down payment, okay? And given the certain regulations in the banking industry, down payments can be anywhere between 20%. You could probably get lower than that, and you have to talk to your mortgage professional about that. But that takes a lot of liquidity out of your personal balance sheet. And what if you have to sell stocks that you're losing money on in order to buy this home? Or what if you want to have a cash pile for a rainy day, and you don't want a big down payment on a $400,000 property? A 20% down payment's $80,000. So I know you like how I did the math in my head there.
That was quick.
Yeah, and but it does take a chunk out of your personal liquidity, and that is, I think, kind of a downside.
It is, but going back, every transaction is unique. Every person's situation is unique. Every person's goals and ambitions is unique. So you're not going to buy something that's going to put a serious dent into your bank account. Professionals, licensed professionals, guide you through what you can and cannot do. And they also, good professionals will highlight any risks involved, anything that you need to consider before signing those papers.
Now, we put in a lot of time to make these videos, so we hope you enjoy them. If you do, please give us a thumbs up, and follow us on Facebook or on YouTube. You can subscribe to us. Or if you are looking to make a real estate transaction, whether you're renting, buying, or if you're relocating out of Chicago, Arson, what should you do?
Give us a call. Give us a call. There's no charge. There's no broker fee involved for buyers or tenants.
Yeah. Or do we do email too? Can they send us an email?
Or a fax. They could give us a fax.
Yeah.
And do we have a pager?
Actually, I got rid of my pager a week ago. I found out no one's using it these days, so
we're upgrading.
Yeah, we're upgrading our technology.
I've been marching like the samurai, and you can see it happen. Open up your set of eyes, so you can take us down. We work hard and we sacrifice, but if you step in our way, we leave you paralyzed. Oh, paralyzed. Yeah, it's the samurai. We take you down. If you wanna come and fight, that's alright. If you wanna come and fight with the samurai, you will find yourself being down and mentally just being paralyzed. Mentally being paralyzed.